Caribbean Development Bank, Ambassador Francine Barron, Chief Executive Officer for CRID, Ms. Missy Henderson, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Shelton Nichols, Senior Advisor to the President of the CDB, Ms. Boston, Acting Manager of the WASCO, Mr. Magnus Williams, Project Manager, the media, listening and viewing public. Good morning. Welcome to this press conference as we update the nation on the visit of the new President of the Caribbean Development Bank, as well as the recently approved projects by the Board of the Caribbean Development Bank. We welcome in particular the delegation from the CDB, including the President, on the occasion of his first visit to Dominica. I welcome him now to the podium to deliver a few words. So, you'll speak first? Okay, well, I welcome the Honorable Prime Minister to speak first, and then Dr. Gant.
Thank you very much, FS. Let me first of all recognize and greet our President, the President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Jean Leon, and of course his advisor, FS and Ambassador Barron, and the Acting Manager of the WASCO, and of course the PS in the Office of the Prime Minister. As you know, our President is visiting us for his first time. He is the 6th President of the Caribbean Development Bank. Dr. Leon is a St. Lucian national and was elected in January 19, 2021 for a 5-year term and assumed office on May 4, 2021. He brings to the position a wealth of experience, having worked with several regional and international institutions, including the International Monetary Fund. This is his first trip in his official capacity to Dominica, and we extend to him a very warm welcome to the Nature Isle. Of course, being from St. Lucia, I could say everything in Patois and Creole, and he would certainly understand us. And of course, as we all know, Dominica continues to enjoy a very fruitful partnership with the CDB. Most recently, we saw the completion of rehabilitation works on the Grand Bay and Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School, with funding from the Government of Canada through the Caribbean Development Bank. This morning, and I can say to our citizens, I was very much fortified by the discussions we had at our meeting, a private meeting, and the vision which the new president has for the bank. I believe certainly he's no doubt aware of the dreams and aspirations and concerns of his membership, the Caribbean region, in respect to how we view the bank and how we believe the bank can certainly evolve in a very evolving global community. And I think if we're able to achieve even half of what the president has articulated, I believe it will place not only the bank, but it will place certainly the region in a very, very positive position. And of course, I want to say to us that we also spoke about some of the projects that are being overseen by the CDB. And there are 2 major projects with funding from the UK Caribbean Infrastructure Fund. And the funds will be administered by the CDB. The 2 projects are the rehabilitation of 11 kilometers of roadway between Loubaire Bridge and Grand Bay. Will be financed with grant funding of US $32.9 million from the government of the United Kingdom. And of course, government's contribution of $16.2 million, including a CDB loan of US $5.5 million. So the total cost of that phase of the project will be in the region of $132.6 million. So it's a major investment to improve communication, to improve access, to enhance safety for the road users between Lube and Grand Bay and Bacatel. So it's a major investment, and certainly it is topping the $127 million that we're currently spending on the east of Dominica with loan funds from the World Bank. And so we can appreciate the cost of infrastructure in Dominica. And so when people ask for a road, they usually don't speak about how much it will cost. And so it's important for us to share with you the cost of this. And as I said, one of the reasons why we had to contract a loan from the CDB had to do with the fact that there are certain components based on the design that would have to be left out, especially the bridge at Mitcham. And so we had to contract a loan from the CDB, and we're very grateful to the CDB for making those funds available and making them available in a very quick fashion. And so we're very grateful for this. And of course, as we said, this will be the first phase of the Lube to Bacatel Road project. The first phase will include the construction of 52 culverts and 5 bridges, including the construction, as I said, of the bridge at Mitcham. The procurement process for the road project is underway. Bids are to be submitted by April 26, 2022. And if all goes well, and we pray that all will go well, we anticipate an award of contract by June of 2022. The second project is also a UK grant of US $30.3 million. And the government and DOASCO's contribution of $9.2 million will finance a major water project in this country. A total of EC $106.7 million will be spent on that particular intervention. And these monies came to us after the passage of Hurricane Maria. And we recognize as a government that our water system was severely exposed to elements. And the question is, how do we go about building greater resilience in our water system? And so in the event of a disaster, that the restoration could be much faster than otherwise. And so when the British came to offer us those funds, the government felt that it would be not in our interest to spend it across various sectors, but focus on one particular sector, and the water sector was identified. And they were able to send experts in there and to assist us in doing the reconnaissance and advising on the specific interventions, along with the engineers from DOASCO itself. And so the water sector strategic development project, all designs have been completed, and the consultant has submitted tender documents for CDB's final review and approval. Tender documents are expected to be shared with the pre-qualified contractors during the first week of May 2022, with award of contracts projected by August 2022, and with physical works commencing by September 2022. And of course, all works are projected to be completed by December 2023. The water projects being implemented are West Coast, Kulibistri Intake, Roseau Valley, Calibishi, and the East Coast from Castle Bruce to Mont John, serving communities of Wharton Waven, Trafalgar, Castle Bruce, Mont John, Kulibistri, Grand Savan, Salisbury, Calibishi, and of course Roseau Valley, the entire Roseau Valley. And we want to extend our sincere thanks and appreciation to the UK government for making this very generous contribution to our national development. And so we're very grateful for this. Over 6,000 residents will benefit directly from the new road, and 56,496 will benefit from the new water project. So one can appreciate the extraordinary reach and impact of those interventions on the lives and livelihoods of so many of our citizens. And so the projects have been designed with resilience in mind. As you know, everything we do in Dominica, from agriculture to our financial management, our fiscal policy, our debt management, our infrastructure, the management of the environment, our health system, our telecommunications system, everything is done in this country with resilience being at the center of this. Recognize the impact of climate change on our society and the sheer cost of rebuilding and restoring lives and livelihoods and so forth. And therefore, we believe that our only hope in this is for us to build resilience, especially when the developed countries are not prepared to take the actions that they need to take to minimize the impact of climate change on our environments. And so everything we do has resilience in mind. And as a government, we are extremely happy and grateful that over the next 2 years, a total of $239.3 million will be spent in the economy. $239.3 million will be spent in the economy, just on these interventions. I'm not talking about the international airport, I'm not talking about the roads enhancement project and the fact that we will build this year in excess of 1,000 new resilient homes for our citizens. And of course, there are a number of other interventions I could speak to. We can speak to the Layo Road. Has been financed with a loan from the CDB, and that project is well on its way. I could also speak of the intervention in the Kanago territory with the construction of the Disaster Cultural Center, and we have seen the designs of this structure. I believe it should be a magnificent edifice situated in Bataka in the Kanago territory, and certainly will enhance the aesthetics of the Kanago territory and of course the safety of our residents in the Kanago territory. And of course recently we got this loan from the CDB that we've assigned. We haven't assigned the loan to this aid bank, but we've assigned the monies to the aid bank. To make that clear distinction, to lend to these small and medium-sized enterprises in Dominica. And I'm hoping very soon, and a lot of people going in there. I think the bank is assisting them with ensuring that they can put the documents together. That's really the required documents so that we can push to providing these projects. This is funds to our citizens. So I think, President, Dr. Leon, you visited Dominica at a very good time, where the impact of the CDB is being felt in literally every community in our country and in every aspect of our economy. There are other issues that we've discussed, and certainly we'll be working on those. But we're seeing bright light now that we're at the end of the tunnel. And I think we don't need to lament on the challenges. I think we need to look forward and ensure that we can have a successful implementation of those projects. And I think this is where we should focus our energy now, having gone through the trial period, and we're now at this point. So we're very grateful for this, and we certainly look forward to all these projects starting. One can appreciate the impact on employment in Dominica, the contracting of goods and services, procurement of goods and services, and $239 million in just 2 interventions. One can appreciate the huge impact this is going to have. And of course, we're very grateful for the partnership and the support from the UK government and also the Canadian government. And we could also speak, Dr. Leon, about the BNTF interventions and the number of projects that are ongoing in Dominica, which is far-reaching and largely impactful. So we could spend a few hours with the press talking about this, but I know your schedule is tight and mine is a little bit tight, and the press is even tighter, so I don't want to take too much time. But I want to welcome you to Dominica. We certainly are sure this is not will not be your only visit to Dominica, and we'll give you the assurance in Dominica that we'll work with you to ensure that your tenure at the bank is successful, and and that the bank can continue to meet the needs of its clients. And because if you're successful, we're successful, and if we are successful, you are successful. So we have a shared aspiration, and I am very, very comforted to have listened to you. I have heard you before, but in speaking to you face to face like this, and hearing of how you would like to see the bank change, and where you would like to see the bank position, I think I'm extremely comforted by this. And as all my citizens know, I really don't give anybody free marks, you know. So when I say something, I really mean it, and I certainly do mean it. And you have my 100% support in as a director of the bank here as one of the governors representing Dominica, to advance the interests of the CDB and advance the interests of the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Just to recall, $239 million to be spent on the water project and the Dubia to Bagatelle Road, including the Mitcham Bridge. We invite now the President of the CDB to say a few words.
Thank you so much, and good morning all. I recognize the Honorable Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica, equally Ambassador Francine Barron, Chief Executive Officer of CREED, Ms. Dennis Edwards, the Financial Secretary, Ms. Missy Henderson, Permanent Secretary, Office of the Prime Minister, Ms. Juliana Boston, the Acting Manager of DOASCO, my colleague and friend, Senior Advisor Dr. Nichols, media here present, listening audience and viewing public. First, let me say a big thank you to PM for the gracious remarks that you have made. And I want to probably return this by saying, for me, this starts with one simple premise. The journey is about the people of the region. It's not about me, and I think Prime Minister would agree, it's not about him. It's not even about the CDB, and it's not about the government. It is about the ultimate journey, the people. And so, in my first visit to Dominica as the president of the bank, I think I have one message to give to the people of Dominica. We are here because we want to express a total conviction that our job is to help make a change in the lives of the people of the region. And so from that perspective, you have 100% of my commitment, 100% of my time, that what this is about is trying to make change. But change has to start from a dream. Because if you don't have a dream, you don't have a vision, you don't know how far you need to change. And I see not where we want to be as adults, but where I think the children of the region need to be in another 50 to 100 years. And that vision for me is one where we have resilient economies. And I was saying to Ambassador Francine this morning, Dominica is already ahead of the game in having a vision about being the first country to become a climate resilient space. It has to have a vision about sustainable livelihoods. One where not only is poverty and inadequate means of sustenance not something that we will be depending on governments for, but something that each individual in their own right will have the empowerment and the means to be able to be sustainable, to make something of themselves for themselves. I think I have a vision equally where I see connectivity, where the entire region as we know it is a region that can truly say we are connected physically, movement of people, movement of capital, a region that is connected digitally, where we can say there is one single digital grid that can serve the entire region from its northernmost to its southernmost point. A region that is connected culturally, where we can identify as St. Lucians or Dominicans, but can genuinely say we are Caribbean people, where we can think beyond national boundaries to regional spaces and see the benefit of being together, moving as one, strengthening each other in one connected line that says this is a connected space. And I see a region equally where we become known as the innovation space, the innovation hub that can actually help advance not just our region, but even broader humanity. And I think we have the means to do it if we begin to believe in ourselves. We all say we are small, we haven't got resources, we haven't got this, we haven't got that. But I think we all can agree when I say the one thing we are not short on, the one thing we have demonstrated that we have been able to show to the entire world in every corner of this planet, at every major university, at every institute of learning, our people have gone and have stood toe to toe with the best and the brightest from anywhere else in the world. Therefore, in terms of level playing fields, we do not have a comparative disadvantage in the use of our intellect. And if we can start from that premise and we can believe in ourselves, I think we have the means to transform this region into a region that can be a place of choice, a region that our kids and grandchildren will want to come, a region that others may want to see as a place where they can actually want to claim this as home. And it's not an imagination that is full of just empty promise. I think it's an imagination that we can all look to work towards to make a reality going forward. And that, I think, is the vision where I think CDB sees itself working in partnership with all the borrowing member countries, all of the private sector entities, all of the households, the people, big and small, in the region towards achieving that long-term goal that will be long, long, long after I am gone as president. But as I said, it's not about me. It is where do we start the journey and how do we keep the fire alive? And I think, PM, you've mentioned the work that the bank has done in Dominica and elsewhere, whether it's in the BNTF, the Basic Needs Trust Fund, looking to reduce poverty and help communities that are vulnerable and in need, making a difference. whether it be in the two key projects we are talking about now in the water sector, or for that matter in the communities line of the projects, the road from Lubia to Bagatelle, well, eventually Bagatelle. I think for me what stands out in those projects is, and I really want you to keep that in mind, they are not a road. It is not a water catchment, water refurbishment. They become changes in the lives of people. So that the road to Lubia, not only does it open opportunities for productive capacity, not only does it tackle climate resilience, not only does it tackle social improvements, whether it's through safety and otherwise, it touches many aspects of our lives. And that is what I think we want to bring into the CDB mode of operation. Development is not an easy business. Development is not a short-term business. And development cannot be seen as a slice. It has to treat the entirety. And in doing that, it becomes about people, because people are very complex organisms with mental, emotional, physical needs that all need to be met. And how we get to those needs mean we have to look at the totality of individuals, the totality of societies as a means of actually making progress. And so I want to be able to leave you with that specific thought. We at the bank will do everything we can in partnership with the governments of the region, and in particular Dominica, being close and equally in affinity of language and culture. It will not be my first and last time Prime Minister. I'll definitely be back as often as I need, equally to meet with the people of this land. Our region needs us now. We don't have the luxury of time. If we don't take it and move it today, it won't happen, and we'll only look back with time and wonder why we never took the opportunity. So with that, all I can say is you have our commitment. I'm looking forward equally to your support, your dedication. It's a joint responsibility of all. We all have to do what we need to do to help build a future of tomorrow that will be actually needed. And it is only for want of saying, we cannot allow our children to look back and say, why didn't they? And so the call is, let's give it our very best. You have full commitment. And Prime Minister, people of Dominica, CDB is there to be with you, to support you, to work with you, such that tomorrow, in another 50 years, we genuinely will be able to turn back and say, we did it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leon. And I think when we get to the 5th year, we will have a full report card. Maybe he'll give us a report card at that point of the efforts that he's made and the threats that we've had out of his stint as president. We thank Dr. Leon. We thank Mr. Nichols as well, Dr. Nichols. We also thank the staff of the CDB for the efforts that they've made towards us achieving a number of our milestones and our projects, having our projects approved and approved by the board. It's tremendous work. I think every ministry knows that it's a process, and when we get to the end of the process, at least not necessarily the end, but when we get to the process where the board grants approval, it's a sense normally of relief that yes, we've gotten to that point, and then we can start the project. And so the efforts of the staff of the CDB must be recognized, as well as the staff of various government ministries and agencies. And so we thank everybody. We thank the Wasco Creed for joining us this morning, and the media as well, the listening public. We thank you for joining us. We thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we pause for a question or a few questions.
Yes. Good morning to you. Good afternoon. Okay. Yes. Good afternoon to you. And I'm Curtis Matthew from DBS Radio. Dr. Leon, there's some in the Caribbean who believe that the Caribbean Development Bank needs to act and respond more speedily to the concerns facing member territories. You've spoken about the new vision for the Caribbean Development Bank. If that is true, from your view, if that is true, is that something you'd like to address during your tenure in terms of the Caribbean Development Bank responding more speedily to the concerns facing member territories? My other question would have to be about COVID-19 and what in fact the impact this had on the Caribbean islands. I am particularly interested in the case of Dominica. What are you seeing from where you see it? What are you seeing about the outlook for Dominica going forward? If I have a chance, if I'm allowed to ask another question, I will do that a little bit later on.
I think two questions. One was on change and the other on COVID. Let's probably start with the following remark. I am focused on how do we get to tomorrow's destination. Now, to the extent that yesterday is as good a guide as we can have, I would accept immediately and without flinching that we probably have not been as responsive, agile, able to manage expectations or even delivery as you have articulated. But for me, that doesn't say that we don't have the means and the capacity to do different. And that is, I think, where I start. And I can give you an immediate assurance. Maybe in another 5 years, if you would like, we can have a scorecard. Did you really make any change? There's no guarantee in life, but I can indicate there's a commitment. And that commitment is to start the journey from day one, that we need to be listening, we need to be leading, we need to be responsive, because, as I said, it is not about the CDB. It is about changing the lives of people. And as long as we do that, there is no need to have egos of institutions. And so we will do whatever it takes, in whichever way it will, to make sure we make changes in the lives of people. That is the commitment. And however we dice it, nimble, not nimble, we will be doing what we need to do to make that change in the lives of people. And after 5 years, ask me again and I'll tell you all the efforts I did. Not what I accomplished, I cannot change that, but I can tell you all the efforts I did. So you could rest assured of that part. The CDB we are talking about, the CDB and the group of staff that I have that are extremely dedicated are looking to make a change, a difference in the lives of the people of the region that we serve. The second question on COVID. You know, COVID, I think, did a number of things. But one of the things that stands out is COVID laid bare to us that we were already in a very bad space. And I say bad space because there are a number of structural issues that we all agree we needed to address. COVID came and added misery on top of that. And so you cannot separate COVID and what was there before. They've now combined. And so we have a higher mountain a bigger hurdle, a more intense challenge that we need to overcome. Now, once you start from that perspective, the question really is, what is the future? Not how are we managing from COVID, because COVID is not on its own, it's now an accumulation. How are we managing from the future? And specifically, if we think of Dominica, all the elements that were specific, peculiar to Dominica before COVID are still there, technically. Except that I think I can say, and speaking with not just PM, but all the other members of the administration, there is a lot afoot to help change, overcome, manage Dominica for the betterment of the people of Dominica than there was before COVID. Have we solved all the problems? Obviously not. We cannot. Because the mountain, as I said, is more. But if you just think in terms of how we measure those things, in 2020, activity in Dominica, what we call growth, fell by about 16%. 2021, still in the heights of COVID, it improved 4.2, 4.3%. This year, even with COVID still around, even with now the war going on, we're still looking at a growth rate probably of just under 4%. Now, I want to ask you, when we say, what do we see as prospects? Clearly, that is in the right trajectory, and we should not diminish that. But the real question for me is, how much is enough? When you fall 16% in 1 year, you go from, let's say, 100 to 84. Now you're going to grow 4%. 4% takes you now from 84, you go up by 17%, 17 on 84, you end up with about a good maybe 90. You grow by another 3, you move up to 93. You're still not yet near the 100 you started. And I think I want you to appreciate that all the efforts that are taking place now to change, to make better, is still in what we would like to think of as recovery. We have not yet gotten back to where we were. And so the Herculean efforts that are being put to manage in the midst of an ongoing COVID and a war and the aftermath of a Maria and the aftermath of an Erica, that literally brought you down, not from 100 to 80, but maybe from 100 to, I don't know, 50. Getting back to that 100 pre-Erica is a serious, serious mountain. And so, when at the same time you have big visions like we need to build back with resilience, and we need to build back such that people have a better way of living, and we need to build back roads for communities and build water systems with redundancy that will allow you, when you have a next hurricane, you can live for 2-3 weeks without needing to say, I need to import water. Or you have the means to say people can eat and drink. This is not measured in the 4% growth. It's not. And even when I say it's not yet enough, we still have a long way to go. But let's not mix the potential with where we are and how far we need to go. And I think the potential is there in Dominica. But what it will take, without being a politician, okay, what it will take is a joint effort by all of the people of Dominica to support themselves. And by that I mean support your government, support your people, your institutions, to be able to help move the trajectory as a people together. And let's hope and pray another Maria doesn't hit this year. I see there's a huge set of storms coming through for this year. And we will have to continue to face that all the time. And that is why resilience is so important. And that is why sticking together as a people is so important. Because it will take a joint effort, joint responsibility to drive forward. And then you will be able to answer the question yourself. That the future of Dominica is bright. Not because of anything outside, but because of the joint effort of the people of Dominica to create, I want to underline that, create a bright future. In my books, I say the only way you can predict tomorrow is when you start to create it. Then you know where you're going. And that will be my answer to you. Join forces, create, make the future a bright outlook that you can report on.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Have a blessed afternoon.